Good morning, teeny explorers. Well, this is a new exciting adventure for me. My name's Debbie and we're going to be exploring my garden today. We've all got to stay at home this Easter, so I want to try and make it a bit more exciting for those of you that can't get out and about, or maybe later on you want to get out in your garden and start exploring. I want to say a big thank you to the Active Wellbeing Society for making this happen today, and we'll be thinking about all the other things that we can do as well as we go along. And I'm going to be trying to keep an eye on who's with us as well today, but as I'm getting involved in the garden, I've got a friend with me, Simon, who's behind the camera, who's going to be telling me if anybody's watching, and I'll try and speak to you as we go along. As I say, it's all new and exciting, so we'll see how we go. And I want to start like we normally do with a bit of a warm-up, so if you're watching you can get active straight away. Nice and gentle exercise like we normally do. I'm going to start at the bottom and we're just going to bend our knees. So are your knees working before we go out and about around the garden? Are those knees working? Up and down, keep it going. And then we're going to do a little bit of a point our toes just to see if our feet are working, backwards and forwards, in and out, nice and gently. And then we're going to go up a bit higher. So we've done the bottom half, we know that's working. We're going to go up to our shoulders, up and down to our shoulders, nice and gently to start off with. That's fantastic. Found our shoulders, that's brilliant. Now can we find our head? We're going to go a bit higher, up to our head, up and down. See if our head's still there. Yep. And then we're going to do the bigger one, the bigger arm movement, the flapping one, where we turn our hands down to the floor and we flap our arms as if we're trying to fly. And then we put it all together and we use our ankles, our knees and our arms, and we bend and flap at the same time to see if we can take off. We've tried really hard. I've not quite made it today, and we'll give our hands a little bit of a shake. And I think we're probably ready to go and have a bit of an explore. Now, if you're exploring your garden, you know it's always better if we explore with somebody else. So make sure that your family are with you when you're exploring. And let's go and have a look what we can find in the garden. First place we're going to go. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, we've had somebody else help us today, which is the poem pixie. And I'm really hoping that out here somewhere are some poems that I can read out to you, because it's really exciting for me as well, because I've never done this before. The poem pixie said she'd help me by giving me some words to keep us going in between. So, and I think there's some little pink scrolls.
So Taz is watching, and so are Henry and Pippa.
Hello. Then let's go and see what we can find. This is the wood store, and this is great in winter because it's where we keep all of the wood. And in this wood store there is a little friend. Now this isn't the actual friend, this is just to help us realise who's here. And oh, here's one of the scrolls from the poem pixie. I wonder what it says. This one says, "This is the house of Marty the Mouse. He thinks it's good to hide in the wood. This is where he sat until he hid from the ginger cat." And you can see there's lots of good places to hide, lots of nooks and crannies where spiders might be and other bugs might be, and mice can get right inside and hide from the cat. This is one of my favourite places because you never know what you're going to find here. But I think we'll go along a bit further where a lot of bugs I know are hiding under a log. So we'll go and have a look, see if we can see anything there. This is a really good bit of the garden. We've got some ferns that are growing here as well. And you can see they're just starting to unravel. I wonder if you could unravel like a fern leaf. So if we start really tight and curl down, and then we unravel like a fern leaf, like the leaves on the trees, and stretch out to the sunshine. Should we do that one again? So curl up nice and tight like a fern leaf, and then open up and stretch out to the sunshine. Lovely, well done, that's fantastic. Now then, we can make spaces in our garden for bugs to be in. If we leave it a little bit untidy and we leave some logs and pieces of wood around, maybe we don't gather up all of the leaves, and we could use some of these to make a bug hotel. So things like this, bits of leaf, this is actually bits of the fern here. If we just bundle, you don't have to do anything really special. You can just bundle them together into a pile, and then if you've got a hedge or a corner of the garden, you can just squash that into the hedge. Any leaves will do, or bundles of sticks, and you can actually make a space where you can go and check to see if there are bugs there. I know that there's lots of bugs around this bit here, and I know that some of you really like worms. So I'm hoping that when we move this log, there's going to be maybe some bugs underneath it. Oh, and I can see there's another pink scroll here, so there might be another poem on it. I'll have a go and see what it says. Oh yeah, it's a poem. So it says, woodlice scurrying, 14 legs hurrying, worms just and make me giggle. Shall we see if we can find any woodlice or worms? Maybe there are some slugs under there as well. We'll have a look. Now, I might need a bit of help with this, so we'll see if I can move it myself, and then I'm going to try and capture some of the bugs for us to have a closer look at. But you know, those of you that have done exploring before, and I'm sure loads of you have, you know how fast some of them move. The woodlice will be off really quickly. The worms we might get a closer look at. So I'm going to move this log, and we'll see if we can see underneath, and see what's underneath there. I'm going to ask for a little bit of help. So Simon's going to help me roll it back. And underneath there, can you see there are slugs, there are worms, there are woodlice. Shall we see if we can capture a woodlouse or two? Oh, and lots of worms. Hang on a minute, let's look at these worms. They're very active. There we go. Oh, so there's one of our worms who lives under the log normally. And you can see him wiggling, and he is tickling me, and it would much make me giggle if he carried on tickling me like that. There he is looking around. He's saying, oh, where's my log gone? I want to go back under my log. Should we put this one back and have a look? Who else we've got under here? The woodlice have done a very good job of scurrying. If I can get one of these woodlice onto my hand. So there we go, there's the woodlouse. And it's a bit hard to see all of his 14 legs, but there they are, scurrying along. Just let you have a look at him for a minute. Fantastic. Brilliant, there we go. So there's the woodlouse. We'll put him back with his friends down there. And we've also got a slug. Now, I want you to remember that it's really good fun to pick up slugs and worms, but you must always remember to wash your hands after you've been looking at things in the garden. Straight away after you've picked them up, wash your hands. But you can see, here's the slug, and can you see his eyes having a look around? And he's very sticky, but he's lovely to hold. Having a look around the garden, seeing what's going on. And he's wondering where his log's gone to as well. So I'll put him back down. Now it'd be great if you can get out into your garden and have a look around. You'd be surprised how many different things you'll find. Even if you think that there's not a lot of places for them to be, they'll be hiding in the corners and underneath things. So have a look. If there's things that you can move to one side, or ask the adults that are with you if you can move them over and have a look underneath. But as I say, always remember, once we've finished, the first thing I'll do when I go in is wash my hands. Now we're going to very gently put the log back over so we don't squash anybody. That's it, and we can carry on having an explore up the garden to find out what we can hear. Now when you're exploring,
Isa and Francesca are watching.
hello Isa, hello Francesca, I'm so pleased you're here. I know that you get out and explore a lot anyway, so I'm really pleased that you're here in the garden. And that's what we're doing today. We're exploring our own garden here because we all have to stay at home this Easter. So to try and make it a bit more interesting before you go off and eat all your chocolate or do what else you're going to do, we're having a think about all of nature that's around us. And when you're exploring in a garden, don't just look in one place. Remember, you can look up, right up to the sky, and you might find things flying about, butterflies, bees, birds, and look right down to the ground. So where your boots are on the ground, make sure that you can see right down there, and have a close look as well. Don't just look from a distance, get right down as far as you can and have a look what's going on down in the soil, okay, because anything could be happening down there. And then have a look over to one side, so turn yourself around and have a look one side. Doesn't matter if you're inside at the moment, what's over there, and then turn to the other side and have a look what's in the other direction. And sometimes there might be something behind you that you might not have noticed. So when you're out and about, or if you're looking out of your window, look all around you. Look up and down, left and right, in front and behind, because there might be some pigeons flying past that you might miss. Now the birds are very close to us here, and I can hear them cheeping away in the trees. But we'll go a bit further up the garden and see what else we can find.
Emmy and Meg are watching now.
Oh, hello, hello. I'm so pleased you're here, because when I'm out exploring, when we're lucky and we can go outside further away, which are just through the trees, far away in the distance, and when the trees don't have the leaves on, you can actually see the Licky Hills from here. So I'm really pleased that you're with me here in the garden, because today we're staying at home and keeping safe and finding out what's going on in the garden. Hello everybody. Right, okay, now this area here, this is good for bees and butterflies, because bees like to get right inside the flowers, and often in there, these look like they've already been visited a lot by bees. You can see that in some of them, they've got yellow in the middle of them, and that's what the bees really love. So these are pretty pink and blue and purple ones, and here at the back we've got some violets that they really like. Have a close look at those, have a look what those look like. That's fantastic. Because today, because you're not here with me, actually in my garden, Simon's trying to have a go at being you He's not done it before, so I'm hoping he's doing a good job for you. When I'm asking him to look at flowers, it's like I'm asking you to have a close look. That's what we're planning on doing. And here you can see there's some beautiful white flowers, and the bees and the butterflies really like coming to these. And actually all the petals are coming off now because these are finishing. You can see the petals are starting to fall off, and they're also falling off the cherry tree that's over there in somebody else's garden. We'll sneak a look into somebody else's garden and we can see the beautiful white flowers on the cherry tree. And I don't know if you can see it, but I can see that there are bees flying around already. It's a little bit early in the morning for them. They're just waking up and getting some breakfast, so that's fantastic. And there's some orange flowers over there as well that make a really bright splash. Have a look at those for me. That's brilliant. I hope you can see all these wonderful things. The thing that you can't do is smell anything, and I wish you could do that as well, because some of the plants in the garden, and we'll just have a quick look at this one, which is a wonderful plant called a magnolia. Funny word, but it smells absolutely. I'm going to smell it for you, so I'm going to have a sniff. Wish you could smell it. Smells gorgeous, and that smell is part of what attracts the bees and the butterflies there. So they really like all of these early flowers. They get a good treat. Now something else that bees and butterflies need, so they have the flowers, and that's wonderful food, but it's also good to have a little bowl of water with some stones in it. It doesn't need much water, just a little bit. So in there is a little tiny bit of water that they can just lick off the stones when they land on there, because we need to remember that all of the animals that visit the garden need to have water as well. And look what we've got, another poem. That pixie has been working really well. This one says, bees like trees, but the pollen makes me sneeze. Achoo! Bees put the pollen in bags on their knees, but the birch tree pollen is carried on the breeze. Gosh, we're finding out a lot of things from the poem pixie. I'm glad she was here to write these poems for me. Right, we'll go back. Now, there aren't any bees yet around here in the morning. It's a little bit cooler in this bit of the garden, but you could be a bee. So to make sure that we have got some bees, we've just got one. Just one has woken up. And there it is, checking the flowers. Look at that. It was almost like we sent out a special message to ask the bees to come and join our exploring. And they started to check each one of those flowers to see if there is any pollen left. And you can see on his knees, on her knees, she's got some pollen in the bags on her knees. Absolutely fantastic. That was incredible. But did you see that bee buzzing around to each flower? Now what bees do is when they go back, when there's a lot of them and they live in a hive and they go back to the hive, they need to tell all of the other bees where the best flowers are. Now bees can't talk to each other, but what they can do, and this is very special that I'm going to do for you, I don't do this very often on camera, is they do something called the waggle dance, and you can join in too. So if you can stand up and you've got enough room, I want you to have a go at doing the bee waggle dance. So when they get back to the hive, they wiggle to tell the other bees which way the flowers are. So can you bend your knees a bit and then wiggle in each direction to tell the other bees where the flowers are? And the butterflies are getting up as well now, so the butterflies are joining us in the garden. They're a bit hard to capture, but if we see one, we'll let you have a look at it. Keep our eyes open all the time. We'll go up a bit higher into the woodland area. So this is where I do a lot of my practicing when we're out in the woods and we're making hot chocolate or we're doing woodland crafts. this is the bit of the garden where I practice doing those things for you. So I practice my fire lighting nice and carefully, always have my water with me. And when we're at the Lickies or in Sutton Park, sometimes we might get a chance, just move that out of the way, here we go, to see a rabbit. Now, this rabbit sits very still and is very well behaved because he's one of my ornaments. But I know that you can be like rabbits and you're very good at doing it. And when we're at the Licky Hills or out in one of the other parks, we look for clues. And one of the clues that we look for, don't tell everybody, is rabbit poo. So some of you know that there are very important clues in nature, and one of those is what the animals leave behind. Sometimes it's footprints, sometimes it's bits of nibbled grass or nibbled berries from the hedgerow. But for rabbits, we're always sure they've been there when we see a hole dug and around it is rabbit poo. This rabbit doesn't leave any behind, but again, because this rabbit's not going to move about, can you have a go at moving about? If you're going to be a rabbit, you need to have some long ears, first of all, and a twitchy nose. Long ears, a twitchy nose, and then both feet together. Can you hop? Really good for an Easter Sunday, because rabbits play a big role. I think rabbits, sometimes the Easter bunny, sometimes leaves Easter eggs, so you never know what you might find in your garden or around your house. Keep your eyes open. We've got some lovely flowers now. The bees and the butterflies also like these flowers. They're called primroses. Do you want to have a close look at those primroses? You can see they've got lovely leaves, bright green leaves, and beautiful yellow flowers. And that's also a thing that the bees really like to have a look at. Now then, there's a bowl over there that our dog likes to drink out of sometimes, but he'd left it in the garden, and I think if we have a close look, we might find something underneath it. Now this 14 legs, this one has got 8 legs. So I'm hoping that underneath here, when we have a look, there might be a spider. Oh, he's hiding down the bottom. He's in his web. Let me just see if I can just move it. Oh, there he is. There he is, hiding underneath. Don't want to disturb him too much. Can you see him through there? Just underneath, there he is. It's quite a big spider in his web. So move it a little bit more. He's very good at putting it back together. There. Oh, it's so fast. There he is. Hiding underneath there. Excellent. Shall we put him back? Let him carry on making his web and waiting for something to come along and nibble on. Right, okay, here we go. So now we have to also remember, you know, I told you about washing your hands and keeping safe and staying with your family, and that's because there are wonderful things outside for us to explore all the time. But some things we have to think carefully about, and one of those things is if we touch plants at all, because some plants are safe for us to touch and others we have to be very careful with them. And I'm sure that if you stay with your family, they will be able to help you explore nice and safely and get up close, because there are some things we want to encourage you to touch and smell when you can do this sort of thing yourself. And there are others, and they do look a bit odd, that you have to be really careful with. So I'm going to talk to you just for a minute about two plants that grow really close together in my garden. One of them is called wild garlic. Now, it sounds like it's really exciting, but it's actually something that you can eat. But again, please don't eat or touch anything that your family... Oh, the pigeons are getting really excited at the moment. They're all around us. So don't touch anything or eat anything at all from the garden that your family hasn't told you to eat, because we need to keep you safe so we can all go out exploring again. So here we go. This plant here with the long leaves, this is called wild garlic. And again, if we had smelly vision, it would be really good, because when I break it and sniff it, oh, it smells of garlic or onions. So this one is one that if you had it grown in your garden, actually making me think of lunch already, is quite good to eat. And it has white flowers on it. Now they're not quite out yet, but let's have a look inside. So if I open it up, we can see the little white flowers that grow inside there, and those are actually quite tasty to eat as well. But again, as I said, be very, very careful. It's always best really to just have a look at things in your garden, and maybe, you know, if you know it's daisies and buttercups, they're always good to pick, but the other things, maybe just have a close look at them. Sometimes it's good just to have a look. And is that just a snail? Oh look, there we go, there's a snail shell. So left inside it, maybe it got eaten by a bird and they might have pulled that out and eaten it, but you can see there the spiral on the shell and the stripes. That's quite a pretty one. So you never know when you're looking through, you never know what you're going to find. And here's another pretty pink flower. Again, another one that bees and butterflies might like to get down and explore, because when you look inside it, you can see that's where the pollen is right there. Now this plant, a bit further along, this is the plant that we need to be very careful with. It's got these very strange big leaves on it. If you see it, you might have it in your garden, but you might not. But the thing that really stands out is the big flower that appears as a big white lily looking flower, and then it has really bright orange red berries on it that look very strange and quite alien looking really. So this is why we need to know the difference between different plants. And just have a look around this hedgerow here for a minute. And this is ivy, and ivy has the flowers on it, so up at the top you might be able to see where there were some flowers, and there's new leaves growing all around us. And here you can see on the ivy up here where there are some brand new leaves that have just unfurled, and they're nice and bright green because they're very, very new. Just let you have a look at, oh, and a bird's come into the hedge. Some sparrows are visiting the garden, and there's a pigeon hanging on to the willow tree, and I think she's collecting bits of twig off the tree, probably to build a nest. Sometimes it's about being adventurous and exciting, and sometimes it's just about being quiet and watching all of the things that are going on in the garden. You can see how beautiful, I hope you can see the colours on her neck, because beautiful green feathers on her neck. There she is round the other side, it's fantastic. There are birds all around us, I hope you can hear them calling out to each other, and finding sticks to build their nests with, breaking bits of twig off, gathering things up. Fantastic. Now then, in this garden, I've got an area here that's a bit more open, and it gives me a bit of space to move about and do some more things. So while we've got a bit of space, if you've got some space around you, I want you to remember again that what we're doing today is staying at home and exploring the spaces around us. And I'm trying to make it more interesting for you, because I'm out in my garden helping you explore from your home or your garden. And if you're just joining us, my name's Debbie, and behind us today, being you, is Simon. And again, I want to say a huge thank you to the Active Wellbeing Society for helping us be out and about, live in the garden with you. And I hope that you're enjoying exploring. Now, if there's anything that you want to have a look at, or any questions that you want to ask me, you can always ask those, and Simon will try and keep an eye out for you. So if you've got a question, ask the question and we'll see if we can answer it for you as we go along. Should we go and have a look at the pond? We might be able to find some tadpoles. I'm guessing that there will be some there because I've already spotted them. I don't know if we'll see the frog though, so we'll have to have a close look. While we've got a bit of space, you were very, very good. Oh, the birds have come to the bird feeders as well. It's something happening all the time. I have to keep looking around us all the time. There's a bird having a snack. That's the sparrows. So I can hear a bee. There's a bee. Oh, it's a wasp. There's a wasp up above us as well. So everything's waking up like we are now, and we've unfurled like a leaf, and we've been rabbits. Shall we have a go at being a frog? I think before we get to the pond, we should have a go at being a frog. Again, these knees, that's why we had to practice with our knees to start off with. Feet apart, turn your feet out, bend your knees, put your hands on your knees, and we're going to ribbit, ribbit, ribbit. Are you doing it? That's fantastic. You make excellent frogs. Good rabbits, good frogs. Should we go and see if we can find some of those tadpoles? Let's have a look at the ponds. We might see the frog if you look closely, you never know. Now then, there's something that we know about bridges. When we go on a bridge, we have to be careful, because in our imaginations, there might be trolls under the bridge. Now, normally we only find happy trolls, but we like to make sure that there isn't one who doesn't expect us, because we wouldn't want to make a troll jump. So we could bang our feet as we go to the bridge. But we can also do something else, because we know that you have to be to a billy goat as possible. And we decided when we were out and about in the woods that the opposite of being a billy goat is being a wolf, a fierce wolf. And wolves howl. Oh, can you howl? I'm not going to howl too loud in case I scare everybody in the gardens. But can we do it together after 3? 1, 2, 3. Oh! Fantastic. One more time. Bit louder. 1, 2, 3. Oh! Brilliant. That was amazing. Just like a pack of wolves. Now we won't scare the troll when we go across the bridge. Let's have a look, see if we can find any of those frogs. Oh, and another poem from the Poem Pixie. What does this one say? This says, splish, splash, splosh, and hippity hop. Frog jumps in the water, plop. Tadpoles swimming very fast. Can you see them as they go past? Let's have a look. Let's have a look in the pond to start off with. Maybe there's a frog. We'll have to look closely. They do like hiding during the day. You can see all the plants on the surface, and we can see the reflection of the sky as well above us, and I can see some little bits of movement every now and again, so I'm sure those tadpoles are underneath the water. And can we see anything? If you look really close, can you see anything moving about? Because there will also be some maybe shrimps, water shrimps. There might be some water louse. There might be, oh, there's a pond skater over at the back there hopping about on the surface. It's a bit difficult to see, but you can see the ripples. Every time he jumps, you can see the ripples moving out from the pond skater coming towards us. And you can see, although he's nearly invisible, every time he jumps he makes ripples on the pool. It's fantastic. Now then, try and have a closer look without falling. Now, when you're by water, if you have got a pool, this is when you need to be extra careful and keep back from the edge. Don't go right up, and make sure you have got somebody with you, because we know that water is a fantastic place for animals to live, and it's what we all need to live, but we have to be really, really careful by the water. But just to make sure that we could see those tadpoles, I've actually got some out already. Now, I did think about doing live pond dipping, but I thought if there was a moment when it might get very exciting, it could be that moment. So instead, I decided to get them out in advance for you. And here we've got some tadpoles from the pond, all wiggling about, moving very, very fast. I'm going to see if I can have a closer look at. They're very good at swimming away from me, a bit like the woodlice. There we go. Can you see that one at the bottom there? He's still got his, can you see that? If you have a look really closely. Shall I have another go? Oh, there he is. Swimming around the bottom. Now he's still got his tail at the moment, because you know that he's not going to stay a tadpole all the time. He's going to turn into a frog. I'll see if I can get a few more. Let me have another go, see if I can get a few more. They're all bunched together at one end. Oh, that's better. That's better, there we go. So all of these tadpoles, what they want to do is use their tails, and they will grow legs, and they'll become frogs in the pond. But you can see them swimming around. Quite a few of them. Hopefully you can see them. Oh, there's one going up to the top and back down again. Fantastic. Should we put them back in? We'll put them back in the water.
Meg was asking if we had any birds' nests in the garden.
We have, okay Meg, yeah, we have had birds' nests in the garden, and the birds, that's a really good question. And here in the hedge, before we go any further, this is a really good place for the birds to nest. Now, I don't know if I can see an old nest at the moment, but if you kind of look into the hedge, really good place to shelter, and there are often nests on this side. Now, if you've got a bird's nest in your garden, do be very careful, and again, like all of nature, watch it, have a close look, but remember that they're trying to get on with the job of laying eggs and building their nest, and they like people to keep back a little bit once that they've got their nests, eggs in the nest. But we've also got, so without falling off the step, if you could turn around and look at the tree, the birch tree, you can see that we've got a bird house up on our birch tree. We'll just go and have a look at that because you've asked a really good question. So we'll have a look up there, and that birdhouse up there on the tree, that's used most years, is it, what have we had in there before? Grape tips in there?
Yeah.
So they've raised a family of young nearly every year in that birdhouse. So sometimes, if there aren't lots of places like a hedge like this, but you can hear the birds are in all the time, and there is, just doing the tricky bit of walking backwards, you can see where there are bits of nest, old nest up at the top there, where the nest was originally. But they're all getting on at the moment with the job of building new nests, and that's something that you can have a go at doing. We'll talk about that in a minute, because you could have a go at being a bird and have a go at building a nest yourself, and think about how tricky that might be. And we'll keep our eyes open as we're going back up. More and more bees are waking up, more and more birds are waking up. It's fantastic, they're around us, all around us. As I said, sometimes we have to be just quiet. Oh, okay. Now then, this bright red beetle here, you can see it moving back. This is why sometimes we have to just sort of stop and have a look. A lot of gardeners, they don't like this beetle. It's a lily beetle, and it likes to eat flowers of lilies, and it's had a little go at these. And there's another one just down there, in there, and there's another one up there having a look. Now these flowers are called fritillaries, another funny word, but they are very similar because they grow from bulbs at the bottom like daffodils and tulips. They like to nibble on those as well, but we don't mind at the moment because those flowers have almost finished, so we're going to leave them there. That's okay. We'll go back towards the pond, and we're going to put the tadpoles back in. I think we'll put them back in straight away. So as I say, be very careful again when you're by the water. We'll let these go. Here we go. Tip it round the other way so you can see. There we go. Let them all go back into the water. That's it. They're gone now. And they'll be swimming back over to their friends and getting on with the job of stopping being tadpoles and starting being frogs. And I'll just read this poem again because I liked this one. Remember, it said, splish, splash, splosh, and hippity hop, frog jumps into the water, plop, tadpole swimming very fast as they went past. Fantastic. Brilliant. Right, here we go. We'll go up a bit higher. We're almost at the very top of the garden. You can still see the pond as we go past, across the bridge, nice and carefully. Watch how you go. And here on the edge we've got some very special flowers that I really like, called forget-me-nots. And I think they're very special at this time because we can't all be together, because we're staying at home and staying safe in our own homes. We have to remember that we're not going to forget each other. I haven't forgotten you, and hopefully you haven't forgotten me. And if you've just met me and you've not been here before, my name's Debbie and we're in our garden helping you stay safe by staying at home, but making it more exciting by having a look around. Woo! That was a close one. That was the pigeon. Nearly landed on Simon's head, but he didn't see it, so it's okay. Yeah, we're keeping you safe, and we're really, really happy that the Active Wellbeing Society has allowed us to do this. It's fantastic that I can talk to you even though I can't be with you. Now, the sun is shining today, but what I wasn't sure about was whether the sun was going to shine or whether it was going to rain. And you know, I'm sure, that even if it's raining, we still come outside. We put our waterproofs on and we put our wellies on and we get in the mud and we play in the puddles, and it's all good. And when it rains, and sometimes it's sunny and sometimes it's raining, we often do a little poem that I thought we could maybe do a little bit of craft, because we like to do that as well sometimes. So I thought, while we're in the garden, why don't we have a go at making something? So I thought, I remember a poem that we sometimes do, and I thought, could we do a craft that would let us think about that? So we're going to have a go at doing that. Let's see how we get on. I've never done this live before, so let's see how we get on. I was telling you about sticks and twigs, and you asked a very good question about birds' nests. And as I say, that's what they're all busy doing at the moment. But if you collect some twigs and sticks, you could have a go at making your own bird's nest. So if you go out in the garden and you find some twigs and sticks and maybe some leaves and bits of fluff, you could have a go at making a nest and put it in the garden, a pretend bird's nest just for you. Sometimes I know that people have made full-size bird's nests that they can get in themselves if they've got enough twigs and sticks to do that. But you have a go at doing it and think about how difficult it is to do that up in a tree, and you've got to carry it one stick at a time in your beak if that's what you're doing when you're a bird. So have a go at doing that. Something else that you could do when you're out about in the garden. You're going to have a go at doing that for me? That's brilliant, fantastic. Hopefully there's lots of things that when you get outside, or maybe you're outside already, you could have a go at doing. Now then, here we go with one of my favourite poems, okay, and one of yours as well. So I'm going to have a quick go, see if I can help you do a bit of craft. Now hopefully it's nice and easy, okay, and you can do it with anything that you've got around the house. You can even do it with paper. So I've got some card. Now at this very strange time we have to be careful with cardboard. So if you've bought a packet of cereal from the shops, you can, because they're nice and shiny on the outside, you can actually wash them down with soap and water on the outside if you're worried about that. Or, as I say, you can just make this out of paper. But here we go, it's nice and easy, and it's our favourite poem about sunny and rainy days, which is Incy Wincy Spider. So here's Incy Wincy, and he's climbing up the spout and down, and at the top we have got sunshine and we have got raindrops. So when the sunshine is out, Incy Wincy Spider is climbing up the spout. Out came the rain and washed poor Incy out. Out comes the sunshine and dries up all the rain. Incy Wincy Spider climbs up the spout again. Now this is really easy to make, because if you've got a piece of paper and a pin, if it's safe to have a pin, and a piece of cork or something like blue tack or Play-Doh to stick it in, all you've got is 3 pieces of cardboard and you can make this yourself. So you've got a round piece that you can cut out, using a glass or anything that you've got round, and on half of it put the sunshine for when it's sunny, and on the other half put the rain for when the rain is coming down. And then you just need to make yourself a spout, which is just, you can fold a piece of card or paper in half and cut 3 cuts. Now this you're going to have help with from your family. Somebody in your family, an adult, needs to help you do this. And then another piece of card, just a strip, that goes through and makes the spider going up and down the drain pipe. There we go. So then you can put your sunshine and your rain onto the top with a pin. Push it in. There we go. And it can be sunny or raining, and Incy Wincy can go up the spout and down the spout. That's all you need to do. So Incy Wincy spider climbing up the spout. Out came the rain and washed poor Incy out. Out came the sunshine and dried up all the rain. Incy Wincy spider climbs up the spout again. You can have a go at doing that with your family. Make sure you're nice and safe again. But if you do that, could you have a go at doing it for me? I know you will. And take a photograph and send it to us at the Active Wellbeing Society's Facebook page. That would be absolutely brilliant. Now then, it's nearly time for us to finish, and we've got to get all the way back down the garden again. So here we go. You can have a go at that later. Let's go all the way back down the garden. Back down the path, across the stone path before. Oh! Past the tadpoles in the front. Under the pigeons who are making their nests. Into the space where, when I'm not talking to you, I can do lots of other activities with the other wonderful people at the Active Wellbeing Society who do lots of brilliant exercise. Sometimes it's gentle exercise like Tai Chi. That's a really good one. But sometimes it's really energetic like Zumba, which I was doing yesterday. So you don't have to do it just in your house. You can have a go at doing it in your garden and have a look at all the other great activities that you can join in with. But first of all, let's get back down to the bottom of the garden and see if we spot anything on the way. Well, there's a feather down there. I think that's from one of the pigeons that came to visit. Never know. And there's a nibbled hazelnut from the hazelnuts that were here this year in the autumn. That's been left over. Some more beautiful flowers, and there's some flowers just about to open on this tree as well. You can see them still tight there, but they're going to be open soon. And look, a spider. It's really hard to see. I don't know if you can see it. A spider dropped down. There we go. Tiny, just like Weetsy, almost exactly the same. And we've got more ferns growing in this around the trees and other plants. And at the back, there's actually a pine cone just on the edge of the border, and that's one of the cones that you've collected for me and brought to me when we've been out collecting things, and I keep them all in my garden. It's all here. Nothing gets left behind. I bring it all home and add it into the garden, which is absolutely fantastic. We've got some daffodils left, and just one pink tulip, but it adds a little splash of colour. A lot of the flowers in the garden at the moment are white or blue, and other different colours will come out later in the year. But the bees and the butterflies and the beetles and the bugs all appreciate any flowers that you can have in your garden. They're happy that they're there, and they really like bushes as well, with like buddleia with the big purple flowers on. That's one of their favourite ones, to get lots of butterflies in it. I can hear bees buzzing around us all the time. In fact, one buzzed by my ear, and they're often down here on this bush. So these flowers have almost finished now. You can see that the flowers, the petals have gone and they've turned brown, and there'll be lots of berries on here afterwards. So there's always something going on, something different happening. And there's a bee just visiting over there. They're not the easiest things to see because they buzz around so fast, getting all that pollen and drinking the nectar, mixing it together to make some honey. And we had to go last year, we had to go eating honey sandwiches. We might do that again, actually, because we like, maybe you could get some honey and we could do that again. Oh dear, I scared a starling off the bird bath. So in the corner here, we've got a place where the starlings come and drink, and they have a bath as well, and they splishy splash about in their bath, and they love it there. But I have to be careful because I come down here and I scare them off, but they're back in minutes. They don't mind. And oh, sorry, there's a really lovely purple flower here that we often get. Something really funny comes to visit called a bee fly. It looks like a bee, but it's actually a fly, because we know nature does that, doesn't it? Tricks us sometimes by looking like one thing and being something else. As I say, every now and again, it's nice just to be quiet for a minute and have a close look and see what's going on. We're back down at the bottom of the garden now, and hopefully some of you have been with us all the way around the garden, and some of you might have joined in later on. And just to remind you, my name is Debbie, and a big thank you again to the Active Wellbeing Society, Active Parts, for giving us the chance to be able to do this and talk to you live and bring the activities that are normally out in the parks into your homes. And although we can't be outside at the moment and we need to stay safe, we can be together through these activities. And as I've said, some of the activities are very active, and it really gets your blood going and gets you nice and warm and keeps you fit. And I'm going to be joining in with a lot more of those activities, which are on the Facebook page of the Active Wellbeing Society. Now, I need to ask you a favour before we finish. On that page on Facebook, at the top of the page, is a feedback form where you can say if you've enjoyed what we've been doing today, because I'd like to come and do more of these sessions with you if that's possible. But I'd like to know, what do you want to see? What would you like to do? Were the bits you want more of and bits you want less of? And if you could do that for me, that would be absolutely fantastic. It's pinned to the top of the Facebook page, and the adults can do it, but I want you to join in as well and tell me what you like best. So I want you to stay safe. I want you to stay at home at the moment, and we're just going to finish with, I'm going to sit down just for a second and say, I do hope that you have a lovely Sunday. Don't eat too much chocolate. Have a lovely time. Watch out for the other activities and tell everybody else about it. If you really enjoyed it today, tell other people about it. And I just want to spend a couple of seconds just looking at the garden and being quiet and listening to what we can hear about it. So I'm just going to look at the garden just for a minute and see where we've been and have a listen, have a watch, because sometimes it's really nice just to sit down for just a minute, take it all in and listen to nature that's all around us and there for us to see if we look really closely at it. once you've had some quiet time, don't forget to have lots of fun as well and be very energetic. Always be safe, be with your family. Don't forget to wash your hands. And I'll see you all very, very soon. Thank you for being with me. You were great. Good exploring. Bye.